Jesse, bring that boy in here. I won't stand for him making a mess of this house.
One moment, Miss Dubose.
Oh, hi, Auntie.
What have you been doing, you filthy child, dirtying up all my nice rugs?
I was just outside, Auntie, playing with other kids.
Well, I don't want you playing anymore today. You're going to stay inside with me, and now that you're old enough to, you're going to learn a little bit about the Dubose family history.
Do I have to?
Yes. Now sit yourself down and behave yourself as a young man should. Now, when I was young, my father owned a grand estate and a cotton farm filled with slaves. We was one of the richest families in the town, and we were respected and revered. The Dubose name was one with power and pride.
Why don't we live on a farm, Auntie?
Those damn slaves got the thought in their head to rebel against those who had provided them with food and shelter, and that bumbling fool of a president went along with that foolish idea. There was a war, and the U.S. was split in two, the North and the South, us. The president changed the laws with the 13th and 14th Amendment. First, banned slavery, making it illegal, and second, made sure the blacks were now official citizens and should be treated as such. We lost all our slaves, crippling the Dubose family. We had owned the plantation for generations and knew nothing else in the world.
What did your daddy do?
Took odd jobs around town. Now, we may have been desperate, but we followed the laws laid out for us, and although we can argue and grumble all we want thanks to our rights, we are law-abiding people, not savages. The Dubose name has been difficult to carry sometimes, but we wear it with pride, as it's an honorable name and it has a strong history that is old as the land itself. So don't you dare stain our reputation.
Yes, Auntie.
I'll be damned if someone in the Dubose family is going to die beholden to anyone or anything. I already said it once. We are a respectable and well-established family, and I won't tolerate any Dubose who dies without paying off their debts. As for me, I'll battle this morphine addiction till my last breath if I have to.
I know, Auntie. You're doing so good.
You're doing so well. Don't patronize me, child. I won't stand for damn pity. I'll be done when I'm done, and that's it. Now, you need to go read. How are you going to make your family proud if you ain't an educated man? Go study. Fetch Jesse, too. I'm hungry.
Hey, Jesse.
Hi.
Hey, Jesse, are you a slave?
No, young sir, I'm not a slave, but I'm a servant, and my mom was a slave.
What was it like for your mother? Auntie seems to think slaves are real important. You must have been treated real well.
Oh no, sir. She told me about it when I was a little girl. She had to work in the fields all day long, and the old Master Dubose, was minding me.
Wow, Jesse, I had no idea. We treat you nice, right?
It's better, sir, but I still just ain't treated the same as white folks. At least I'm not in slavery anymore. But I have to live in a part of town that's worse than you white people. Go to a different church, and my children go to a different and worse school. You sure are nice to me, though, young master, which is good because you talk to me nice.
That's good to hear, Jesse. I have to go study now, but I think my auntie wants me.
In class, hold your conversations later, please. Welcome to Modern American History. I'll be your professor, Dr. Brown. Let's pick up where Dr. Reynolds left you off last year, at the end of the Civil War.
Still don't know how those damn Yankees beat us.
Something you'd like to share?
Oh no, Professor, I was just wondering about how the North managed to win when it seemed that the South had an advantage in the beginning.
How so?
Well, we were fighting a defensive war, and we had General Lee, an amazing soldier.
Those who do the right thing always win in the end.
They ruined the South. Families who had depended on their slaves were left homeless.
So they were allowed to beat, starve, rape, and kill them?
They didn't do that. They were fed, sheltered, and treated as any worker.
Oh, and who told you that? Let me guess, someone old, white, definitely from the South.
Okay, I think we've gotten enough off the topic, but feel free to continue after class on your free time. Anyway, in order to ensure that the war wasn't for nothing, President Lincoln created the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, basically making African Americans equal to the white. Still, some people in the South still wouldn't accept African Americans as their equals. For some, it went against what they were raised to believe, that they were above African Americans.
Well, I was raised to believe that everyone's equal, no matter what.
Well, that's great.
Come on, guys, please wait till after class for this. Back to what I was saying, those who wouldn't accept African Americans created the Jim Crow laws to cut down on new freedom given to them through citizenship. The Jim Crow laws enforced segregation in all public areas. Blacks and whites did not mix in any aspect in life. Well, that's enough for this debate. We'll continue tomorrow, but if you want to learn more, check out pages 500 to 525 in your textbook tonight about Plessy v. Ferguson case.
Bad chance I'll be wasting my time with that. Rainbow! Why in the world are you wasting your time with that trash? You should know that blacks don't belong with our kind.
Well, how about you step in their shoes and look through their eyes? Can't you see they're living, sentient beings? They're no different from us. We're all one, each struggling to find our own place in this world.
Of course they're different. They're blacks. They're certainly not entitled to the same privileged rights that we are.
Why not?
I don't know.
Exactly. You see, though we may look different, we are foremost human beings. Imagine if you were looked down upon, rejected, and thrown to the side like a piece of trash. That's how they feel. You're letting your own prejudice blind you.
I'm starting to see what you mean. I still refuse to believe that blacks and whites are the same.
The law doesn't think so, Louis. Brown, which is Board of Education in 1954, overturned the Plessy v. Ferguson case, which upheld the doctrine of separate but equal.
How does some fancy law court case change the facts? Whites and blacks just won't go to school together, or the same restaurants and stores. They just can't.
Those cases finally give African Americans the rights they deserved. They're now entitled to the right the right of an education as any white kid. The movement for equal rights has won its first success. But we have so much more to go before everything is truly equal. Maybe some people still be bigoted, but this is a step in the right direction.
Come to think of it, I've hardly ever spoken to a black man, except for Jesse. I do know. Maybe there is something to this equality thing. I'm sorry I treated you so rude in class. I'll hear you out.
Thanks, Louis, but I have to go to a demonstration. See you tomorrow.
Wait. I have one more question. I know Brown versus Board of Education desegregated schools, but how will black people move to white schools if whites and blacks live in separate neighborhoods?
Well, that's simple. I'm actually demonstrating for that later. Many school districts have been busing kids to school. It works great. There have been some opposition to it, though, but right now the Supreme Court is reviewing the case, Swan versus Charlotte-Mecklenburg Board of Education, to see if it's unconstitutional.
I don't know, Rainbow. It seems a bit weird to bring in kids from other areas just to racially integrate.
I'll convince you of that one soon. Come to the demonstration with me. I'm heading there now.
Let's go.
Grandpa, what is this? It says I'm oppressed.
Amy, everything you see on that screen isn't the truth. Come here and let me tell you a story about real oppression. I learned about this story from a girl at college who changed my life. I was ignorant like you, but now I see things as they are.
Sure, Grandpa, I'll listen.
The civil rights movement is a very long story that still continues to this day. Even in our modern era, blacks still don't live on the same standard as whites, despite how much we've achieved so far.
But I go to school with a lot of black people. They're not unequal, are they?
No, Amy, but once, a long time ago, back when we lived in the South, they weren't treated like people at all. My dear old aunt, Miss Dubose, raised me to believe that black people are less than us. And sadly, at the time, they were thought of by everyone like that.
Wow.
I know. It was terrible. I'm still ashamed of it to this day. Luckily, things still weren't as bad as they were before my time, during the era of slavery. Thankfully, Abe Lincoln did away with that a long time before I was born. Still, thanks to Jim Crow laws, black people were completely separate from us whites and lived in awful conditions. Unfair, huh?
Yeah, who has the right to decide how others live?
Well, some people thought they did, and they didn't want the blacks to live like they did. Through Jim Crow laws, the blacks and whites were completely segregated. They even created laws that would stop black people from voting without directly banning them just on race.
But couldn't people tell what they were doing? I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me what they're doing. Why didn't anyone stop them? They should start a riot!
Doesn't work like that.
Why not? Tumblr says riots work really well when you're fighting for rights. There was a riot for gay rights last week, and everyone says here how happy they are, and they say it worked really well.
But how many people were harmed during that riot? Do you really think that all that pain was worth it? There are so many other ways we can fight for rights without causing pain. There's been enough of that already.
Yeah, Tumblr says I'm full of pain too because no one understands me. But, I mean, I guess I'll try to write nice letters so people will only be happy and they'll try to agree with me.
Okay, and Amy?
Yeah, Grandpa?
Try finding more information from other sources. Tumblr lies sometimes, and I don't want you going around and embarrassing yourself with this foolish information.
But Tumblr says it never lies, but, I mean...